செய்தி கதம்பம். இன்றைய செய்தி கதம்பத்தில் சென்னை ஐசிஎஃப்பில் நடைபெற்ற புத்தக வெளியீட்டு விழாவில் சென்னை ஐஐடி இயக்குனர் டாக்டர் காமகோட்டி பங்கேற்று ஆற்றிய உரை மற்றும் மத்திய அரசின் சமூக வலைதள பதிவுகள் உள்ளிட்டவை இடம்பெறுகின்றன. தெற்கு ரயில்வே பொது மேலாளர் திரு ஆர்.என். சிங் எழுதிய புத்தகத்தின் வெளியீட்டு விழாவில் சிறப்பு விருந்தினராக பங்கேற்று உரையாற்றினார் சென்னை ஐஐடியின் இயக்குனர் டாக்டர் வி காமகோட்டி அவர்கள். அவர் பேசும்போது,
So friends, in this technology era, I still remember our famous saying in Tamil, Palakatrum Kalladar Ariviladar, essentially meaning, however, whatever knowledge you have assimilated, unless that wisdom suits a crisis, your wisdom suits a crisis, very useless to have such a knowledge unless you can manifest it at the time of crisis. So what are the traits and what leadership actually teaches us? It is very difficult to find leaders for leading institutions, and that has become a very major issue. So how do we basically develop that leadership quality? And that actually has two important things. One is traits, another is skills. The first one is traits can be basically divided into two parts. One is psychological, how you maintain your calm composure, be always smiling, though internally you may be boiling. Right? That's the first important thing. And the second thing is the execution traits. Friends, if you look at psychological traits, I think we can classify it into four very important verticals. First is resilience. Whatever happens, there should be a way by which we handle and maintain our calm and composure. And that's extremely important. And that's a trait which is the most difficult, in my opinion, to bring it up. And so in Tamil we say, Edayum Tangum Maharajan Kappal, right? And that's something that we need to always have within us. The second important thing is humility. I think humility takes you up several notches. You can handle very serious situations just by one factor, that we are humble and we are ready to listen, ready to understand the opposite points of view. Specifically, when I handle student issues, one thing I learned was I wanted to define youth. The definition of youth, in my opinion, is I am always right, you are always wrong. And this is what we were whenever my father had advised. My father had advised me something. He was a great Sanskrit scholar, great philosopher. I lost him 2 years before. On the day when I lost him, I was just seeing his face. And I actually remembered more than 1,000 things that he had advised me. And rarely I adhered to 100 of them. If I had followed those 1,000 things, I would have been a better individual. That's what I always feel. So understanding the opposite party actually comes when you are humble. And that's very, very important trait. Then curiosity. Curiosity to understand what is happening. Always poke your nose and understand at least. Don't be not even comment. And then self-awareness. What we are capable of. You know, if you land up in Benares station, they call you Maharaj. Immediately if you think you are a king, you're wrong. Okay, there should always be self-awareness. So these are the four important traits. And from the execution point of view, today railways, as I just think, a major network in one track, if one rail goes bad, you are in for a catastrophe. And I know how much tension you would be into running this railway network on a day-to-day basis, because it concerns human life. It's not something that we could take easily. I think there, execution traits at a leadership level is extremely important. There are four verticals here. One is inclusivity. Just to have everybody, listen to everybody. I think that we get lot of insights. And trustworthiness. Trust. See, if you want to say, trustworthiness is a very, very important topic today. If you say A is equal to B, suppose you want to prove A is equal to B, between A and B, there must be an equivalence relation. And the equivalence relation is, it should be reflexive, it should be symmetric, it should be transitive. Suppose I want to define trust. Let us look at trust as a relationship, right? Trust is not reflexive. Sometimes I don't trust myself. Trust is not symmetric. I trust you, you may not trust me. Trust is not transitive. I trust you, you trust somebody, but I need not trust that somebody else. Trust is also temporal. Morning I trust you, evening I don't trust you. Trust is context dependent. I trust you on something, I don't trust you on something else. So trust actually transcends every definition of what could be an equivalence. So it cannot be defined. If you go to actually some of these search engines and ask define trust, you'll get a million definitions. But society has been running on trust. So the most important execution trait is to find that person who is trustworthy. There is a very famous saying by Adi Shankara. Actually starts answering questions. And one question was asked to him, Ko Guruhu, who is a guru, who is a teacher? The answer that he gives is Adhikata Tattvaha, means the teacher should have understood what he is teaching. Shishya Hitaya Udyataha Satatam, means always he should be thinking about the welfare of the student. He should know everything. He should know what he is talking about. And she or he must know, always work for the welfare of the students. That is the definition of teacher in our great country, Bharat. So this is the root of trust is something. So in a large network like railways, you are trusting so many people so that there is no calamity there. And that's a very important execution trait. And patience. Patience is very, very important, especially in deep technology. And generosity. I think that's also very important. Benevolence to your subordinates, treating them well, being generous. So these are some of the traits I also look at this book. And from the skills, again, there are three important verticals. Communication skills. There's a very beautiful statement by Bertrand Russell. Clarity and cogency can best be reconciled with brevity. And how do you bring out these communication skills? Especially strategic, important storytelling is very, very important so that you convince the opposite party for this. And operational execution skills. And in a large network like railways, operational execution becomes a very important leadership skill, specifically resource optimization. You have so much of labor, you have so much of stock, you have so much of raw materials. How do you partition, how do you allocate these resources so that you become an effective network? You solve the day-to-day problems, you address some of the grievances. So these are very important things. Process delegation itself is very important. Whom to assign what process so that it gets successfully delivered. And very importantly, crisis management. And team dynamics. Working as a team, I think identifying the talent, nurturing the talent, coaching them, mentorship, succession, all these are important leadership skills. I think all these put together will make a great leader. So this particular way of trying to develop leaders, assess their leadership skills, and progressively make them better leaders.
மத்திய அரசின் சமூக வலைதள பதிவுகள் 6 வயதுக்குட்பட்ட குழந்தைகள், வளரிளம் பெண்கள், கர்ப்பிணி மற்றும் பாலூட்டும் தாய்மார்கள் நலனுக்காக 2ஆம் கட்ட ஊட்டச்சத்து இயக்கம் செயல்படுத்தப்பட்டு வருவதாக மத்திய மகளிர் மற்றும் குழந்தைகள் நல மேம்பாட்டு அமைச்சகத்தின் சமூக வலைதளத்தில் கூறப்பட்டுள்ளது. நாட்டின் கைத்தறி மற்றும் ஜவுளி பாரம்பரியத்தை வெளிப்படுத்தும் வகையில் புதுதில்லியில் தொடங்கியுள்ள கைத்தறி திருவிழா ஆகஸ்ட் 7ஆம் தேதி வரை நடைபெறவுள்ளதாக மத்திய ஜவுளி அமைச்சகத்தின் சமூக வலைதளத்தில் தெரிவிக்கப்பட்டுள்ளது. குழந்தைகளுக்கு தொற்று பாதிப்பால் வயிற்றுப்போக்கு வராமல் தடுக்க சுத்தமாக கை கழுவ வேண்டியதன் பழக்கத்தை அவர்களுக்கு கற்றுக் கொடுப்பது அவசியம் என்று மத்திய சுகாதார அமைச்சகத்தின் சமூக வலைதளத்தில் அறிவுறுத்தப்பட்டுள்ளது. வேளாண் வளர்ச்சியின் மூலம் விவசாயிகள், விவசாய தொழில் முனைவோர், புத்தொழில் நிறுவனங்கள், உழவர் உற்பத்தியாளர் மற்றும் மகளிர் சுய உதவிக் குழுக்கள் ஒருங்கிணைந்து வளர்ச்சி பெற முடியும் என்று மத்திய வேளாண் அமைச்சகத்தின் சமூக வலைதளத்தில் தெரிவிக்கப்பட்டுள்ளது. இத்துடன் இன்றைய செய்திக் கதம்பம் நிறைவு பெறுகிறது.